Good morning, this is Robin Bieber on the product spread talk on the 20th of July at 7:50 in the morning London time. As an overview of structure, the spot spreads are holding quite well on products, whilst the back from SpreadTalk onwards looks very wobbly and as if will go lower. The front all SEPs are looking okay. And we'll deal with gas oil structure first, and the chart in front of us is all SEP gas oil. It maintains its target to minus 1.5. It had a bit of a spiky move from the short-term moving averages, 5, 8 and 13s on Friday, and those moving averages are support today between minus 250 and 275. There's no downside whilst minus 275 holds. The 5-day gap was too wide on Friday and it's coming back to just narrow that gap a little bit. Were it to close below minus 275, the odds would then be on a dip back down to the 21-day amount around about minus 3.25. There's no serious downside unless it was below 3.25, and it looks at the moment as if the upside is capped by this minus 150 resistance and target zone. A little bit of an either-or scenario today. Could easily test minus 150, could easily test the short-term moving averages at minus 250 to 275 area, and it should try and dip back a little bit to cool down. Now the SpreadTalk is struggling a bit. It's still above the short-term moving averages, which are from the 5-day around minus 775 down to the 21-day around minus 8.25. No downside whilst 8.25 holds, but that looks like it could easily get threatened. Equally, well, if it moves back over the 13-day at minus 7.25, there's some upside, and we should be in resistance testing mode. It's a little bit stuck, so watch the minus 7.25 resistance and the minus 8.25 support. It's ebbing and flowing between the two with no clear direction, although to be fair, the stochastic has now gone positive here, and that's reasonably constructive but far from conclusive. And the red deck is under pressure. It is faltering, it's in a short-term downtrend. Whilst it is below 30.25, it's under pressure. 30.25 is the error of the 34-day moving average. You could argue that this level low here is still holding at minus 31, and one can use that as a pretty good pivot. If it's below minus 31, the odds are that it will lose more value down to 32.5 and maybe even minus 35.5, something like that. There's no upside whilst it's below the 5-day at minus 29.75, and were it to get above there, we may well get a rally up to the 13 and 21-day moving averages around minus 28, but at the moment it's looking a little bit precarious. Now if we move on to US products, heating oil, and the SEP on heating oil is still, it's stuck in a range. It's holding the short-term moving averages with support around minus 133. It looks like it could push up to minus 73, but it's still stuck in this range with very little serious direction anyway. Were it to move back below minus 133, it would be under pressure and probably down to minus 156, but we're not looking for very big moves here at the moment. The SpreadTalk is beginning to struggle. If it were to move and close below minus 464, I suspect we'd head to minus 492. No upside whilst it's below the 8-day at minus 423. And the red deck on heating oil is under pressure whilst it's below the 34-day moving average at minus 11.15. If it stays below 11.15, I would look for it, or potentially even 11.35, this high here. If it's below there, then I'm looking for a move down to 12.44, about 100 points to the 55-day, and there's no real upside unless it got over minus 10.25. It's struggling a little bit here and is feeling the weight of gravity. And moving on to RBOB structure, the SEP is a bit stuck. No downside whilst it holds 154. No upside whilst it's below 208. It needs to move and close over 208 to give it a fighting chance of a move back to 300. It needs to move below the 21-day at 166 to give it some downside, probably to the 117 level. Under a little bit of pressure, but nothing too conclusive yet. And the SpreadTalk, it's having a bad time. It tested and recovered over the 55-day at 10.25. A move and close below there would have us looking back to around about the 850 level, this low here. There's no upside whilst it's below 11.46, the 21-day moving average. Struggling a little bit. It looks like selling would emerge at the short-term moving averages if it rallied. And the red deck is also looking poor. It's holding the 55-day at minus 391. It's got to continue to do that, or it's going to fail, and I would expect it to fail down to this level here, the minus 700 level. So it's got some downside potential if it fails at 391. There's no upside whilst it's below the 21-day at minus 214. So look for this support and watch this 55-day very carefully at minus 391. The negative stochastic is not particularly supportive. In fact, it's not supportive at all. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.